Hey everyone, so this is my after the Appalachian Trail through hike gear review video. I cannot find all my gear. I have no idea where I shoved it in the midst of moving everything into my apartment. So it's not going to be the best gear review, but I'll go through the things I have. Found some of my stuff. I'll show you how that did. So be sure to check out my other video, which is Life After the Trail, which is a little bit of closure for some of the people who have been wondering what my life has been like, feelings, thoughts, and just kind of where Ryan and I are at now. So the most important piece of equipment that you will take on the trail is your backpack. I chose the Osprey Exos 46 liter. Can't find it, so I can't show you how it's doing, but it worked out great. I was a little bit worried about the size because when I packed all my winter stuff in there, it was a little bit tight. But once I moved to my summer gear, fine. I had plenty of space, which was great. So could shove extra food in there for days. Most food I probably carried was 5 days worth of food, and then snacks and everything on top of that with water, and it held it all. It's got the 2 side pockets that are mesh, which are really great because you can take your bottles in and out. Use the Smart Water bottles or something like it. Doesn't have to be a Smart Water bottle. There's other brands that have the same long cylinder shaped ones that worked out just fine. The only downside to the backpack is it does have mesh pockets on the hip belt. It's got mesh pockets on the side. If you run into a lot of trees like I did, or you are taking it off and on a lot, or scooting yourself over rocks, some of my mesh pockets did have a few holes in them, but that did not happen until almost like the last month, which I think is pretty darn good to last 5 months before I started having a problem. You know, we were out on the trail for 5.5 months. And they didn't even split all the way open. I just know this is one of the complaints of the backpack is the mesh does not last as long, but it did hold up very well. All my straps still completely intact. They worked great. If my last video I posted, you saw me washing my backpack and dumping it out. It was so gross, so disgusting, and it smelled. But it's a lot better now. I cleaned it, washed it, and it doesn't. You can't smell it over my camera anyway, but it smells a lot better. The foam padding and everything, it washed well. The frame of my backpack was one of my favorite things because it wasn't like the steel frame. It was like a retention mesh frame, and that worked great because I knew I would need a frame for my backpack. Some of them are all frameless, cut weight and everything. I didn't want that. I wanted the frame. I wanted the support, and it worked fantastic. I didn't really have any problems with my fit. I did get like these really tougher patches of skin across my clavicles because I carry my weight more on my shoulders, where Ryan carries his more on his hips. So he had a few, patches. If you've seen the Reese Witherspoon movie Wild, and she's all bruised up from her backpack, yeah, that does happen for real. But your backpack should not do that for a long period of time. You shouldn't be rubbing raw all the time. You should eventually get like a tough patch, or it shouldn't bother you at all. So if your backpack's rubbing a lot and causing sores like hers, you might want to check out a different one. So moving away from that, my Comperdale hiking poles, love them. They did great. I saw a lot of people whose poles broke. You see parts of poles along the trail. You see them left at hostels because they've become ruined. Did not have any problems with mine. I loved having I had cloth handle straps attached, so that way if I was hiking, I could drop them and use my hands to press up and then have my poles right there without having to put them away and everything. Collapsible poles are great. You want the ones with the flip locks, though. What I found out was the screw locks, they break, they get too tight, you can't undo them. The flip locks worked great. You can adjust the tightness of them on the trail with just a screwdriver. It was great. Cork handles, just personal preference. So those worked out great. I would definitely buy them again. My Big Agnes Copper Spur Ultralight 2 tent did wonderful too, actually. Ryan and I had enough space. It takes a little bit to get used to when you're having to sleep straight and bundled up in a sleeping bag, but we got a pretty good schedule where we flipped at the same time. Had enough space for everything, a lot of space down at the feet, so we could put stuff down there too. So the only thing was our rain fly eventually pretty much wasn't waterproof anymore after it had been rained and drug around and everything for so long. And the footprint was not really water resistant anymore. So anytime it rained, especially when we were getting stuck in puddles in Vermont, it seeped through the tent. But that's where my Thermarest came into play. My Big Agnes, I did not get any holes in either, by the way. Just it was fine. We took care of it, and make sure you dry it out. Don't leave it packed up wet. That way, because you'll get like mold spots and or mildew spots and everything. And we had that actually before we left from the trail because we made that mistake. But it did great. Did great on the trail. My Thermarest did great. It's the Neo Air. It's the yellow one. I have it all bunched up right here. It did great. I took the repair kit. Didn't need it. Didn't have any holes. It's actually really comfortable once you're so exhausted you could fall asleep on a rock. I didn't have any problems with it. I loved it. It was actually on the trail. A lot of people really praised how great they are. They do compact pretty small. You'll see a lot of people with a foam Thermarest padding. They're cheaper, but they are not as comfortable, I'll tell you. This is definitely something that I was really glad I invested in. I did not sleep with a pillow the entire trail. That was my fun fact in one of my videos. I never had a pillow. I used my stuff sack full of clothes or whatever I had to shove in there and slept on that. So, cut weight right there. For sleeping bags, during the summer, or during the winter, I had a Mountain Hardwear 0 degree sleeping bag. This was really important to me. I wanted a 0 degree bag. I wanted to be warm. And thank goodness I did, because when we were at Fontana Dam, it got 13 degrees and it was freezing cold. And I was so thankful for that sleeping bag. So I loved it. It was worth the wait. It was a little, it was heavy. It was like 4 pounds almost. But it kept me warm. And I could not have been more happy with it. It was definitely worth the wait. For summer then, I had a fleece sleeping bag. I featured it in one of my other videos, so you'll have to look at my gear list while I was on the trail. And it was like a $20 sack I bought from Gander Mountain, which is a outdoor store around here. It kept me really great. I thought there'd be a lot of summer nights that were like burning up hot, but most of them actually, it was still pretty cold. So what I did was I had the fleece liner, and I would get inside my Cocoon silk liner. This thing saved my butt. It's actually Ryan's. I took it from him. So compresses up real small. It's silk. It insulates you. I put my fleece liner inside of this and then slept in this. It is great. It has a hood. It's great because it adds like 10 degrees to your sleeping bag, and it can throw in the wash with everything else. Especially when I got my fleece bag too, I could wash it when I was in town, as opposed to my Mountain Hardwear bag, which I couldn't wash along the trail because it's synthetic. It takes days to dry. So this was great. It was a great alternative. I didn't have any problems. There was never a night that I was so freezing cold. There was a few nights Ryan was so cold. He had every piece of clothing on and his rain gear on in the tent because he was just freezing. The temperature really dropped around like 3 or 4 in the morning. So a lot of times I would just sleep in my clothes and then wake up at like 4 in the morning and throw this thing on, and it was fantastic. So it was a lifesaver. I love that. And then I loved, altogether it wasn't even a pound for my sleeping gear, and it was so much smaller. It took a lot less space in my bag. So speaking of rain gear, since Ryan, I was talking about Ryan's rain gear, here is his rain jacket. We still have it because it is still good. I'm trying to find pictures about bringing it. Outdoor Research. It was quite expensive, but this is the one thing I would recommend. If you want rain gear, get good rain gear, because I bought like a $50 rain jacket and it was great for a month, and that was it. It sucked after that. It didn't actually serve a purpose. Most of the time when you're hiking in the rain, you don't even really put it on until it is torrential downpour, because you'll just end up breaking out in sweat, and then your inside's wet and your outside's wet, and it's just miserable. So his rain jacket was really good. Mine was not. So we also hiked in our, we got the rain skirts from ULA. Love that compared to rain pants. And I actually used my skirt for a lot of other things. If the ground's wet, I need to sit on something that was like dirty, you just lay your skirt down, you sit on it, you pack it back up. It did fine. The only thing is, by the end of the trail, 5.5 months of use, it does start to lose its waterproof coating. And then Ryan's, it actually packs up into itself. His seam was ripping along one side. It doesn't affect the use of the skirt, but it does affect packing it into itself. So he had to put it in another bag or something. Mine was still attached to a carabiner on that side of my pack. So I like it. I really, really loved having my rain skirt. Still have it. Okay, we'll go to my pot. This is my pot. It was the How You Like Micro Duelist from GSI. Ryan got the singular, I don't know what it's called, but I liked the double, but it's a little bit smaller than just the regular double. I wanted a bigger pot because I didn't want my stuff boiling over. I also eat a lot of food. So I got a bigger pot, and I'm really glad I did. So, and then I had my towel. Take a pack towel. Take it. You'll end up you'll use a towel to shower in a straight or something. Then we just used cans of fuel. We had to buy a can. A big can lasts us about 2 weeks. And for Mike, a big can lasts him a whole month. So, and then we just rotated on who bought the can and switching off. This is one we use at the end. It's a small can. We didn't even end up using it. I would usually carry the empty can. Ryan would carry the full can, and we would switch back and forth. I had to light my fire, fork on one end, spoon on the other. I was like, oh, this is great. And then all the sporks broke off of it, and Ryan snapped in half within the first month. Mine didn't go bad until like 3 months. I think it was Daleville that I bought the long-handled titanium spoon. I love that thing. It's so much better. It is just a spoon, but it scrapes the bottom of my pot and everything. I didn't have to worry about it breaking. I can reach down and not burn my fingers, and I liked it. So it was good. I like the long handle over the Light My Fire. The Light My Fires are cheaper, so I guess if you're planning on buying a couple, you could just do that instead of spending all your money on one big one. But whatever. Personal preference. Okay, let's see what else we have to talk about. Oh, I have an MSR stove that I couldn't find, but that is what we use. Works great. Attaches to the different types of fuel, whatever. A lot of people have the pocket rockets. Or the rocket, whatever. I don't know how those work. I don't know if they attach to every sort of thing. So, I like this one because it did attach to everything. I didn't have to worry about that. Had a little MSR scrub brush. That was great. Had some camp soap that we kind of just filled along with soap along the way. Anytime we'd find soap, we just put it in there. So that worked out great. Alcohol stoves. A lot of people use those on the trail. They're great. You can get alcohol pretty much all along the trail to burn. If not, there's something else you can buy that burns like just the same, but I can't think of the name of it right now. I do not recommend a wood-burning stove because several people did it, and then several people regretted it. Some people just went without a stove at all at some points of the trail. That's cool. Do your thing. But the wood-burning stoves take forever to boil water, and it's like when you are sitting there so hungry, I would make a meal and eat it and be in my bed before Will, who ended up being a fire starter, would even have his water boiling. So I don't recommend them at all. And then when everything's wet and you just have nothing to start a fire with. So kudos to you if you want to put in an extra effort, but when you're hiking the trail, you're hungry, so you just want to eat. Next thing. Sawyer water filter worked great. If you don't know, we had this thing here, which actually we ended up figuring out it creates a seal with your water bottle, fell off, and so we thought our Sawyer wasn't good anymore, so we got rid of it. And the town we were at, we didn't want to pay the amount for the ones I had there. That we were like $60 to $80, which was ridiculous because you can buy one of these at Walmart around here for $25. So we bought a mini instead for $25 or $20 or something like that, and used the mini. Oh, that mini filter when you're filtering all your water is forever long. So definitely glad when we ended up just being like, we have to get a full one. So we got a full one and had it shipped to us, and I definitely like those a lot better than the minis. I think it's worth it, especially because Ryan and I were sharing it. Maybe if it was just one person, it would be different. But sharing it was best to have two. We didn't even take this cap on there. You don't need it. Get rid of it. So, what else do I have to talk about? Oh, we bought a pair of gaiters. I did not take them. I didn't even end up thinking. I just thought last minute I didn't even need them. And then, truth be told, I didn't. So, I didn't use them. A lot of people use them. They help keep your socks dry. Help keep things from getting in them. But we were stopping anyway to take our shoes off. So, it wasn't really a big deal. That coming to footwear, the socks we had, I have my sock. These are my Darn Tough socks. I love them. You want a little bit, up your ankle and everything. They worked great. I never had to switch a pair out. In Vermont, actually, at the Yellow Deli, they still let you switch your socks out, but all the other outfitters along the trail do not because people are abusing that. So you have to send them in to Darn Tough directly. I'm sorry. Darn Tough says the reason is so they can have more one-on-one customer interactions, but really the truth is people were abusing it. So they worked great. Loved my Darn Toughs for the summer. For the winter, I had the Gander Mountain brand of like the merino wool, smart wool ones. These worked great for winter. I had a pair of super thick hunting socks. I always had a pair of socks that was just for sleeping until the last day. I would wear those socks into town, but these were super warm. They're fantastic. I still wear them. Winter's coming, so I'm gonna go put those in my room to use. I always carry 3 pairs of socks, and then if it rained, obviously I would switch them and then try to dry out the other ones if I could. Some days I would have to put on wet socks because I was like, well, it's just gonna rain all day anyway. I might as well put on the wet ones and save my dry ones for a day when it's actually dry. Oh, gloves. I didn't use gloves. I ended up staying at home, like, I didn't use them. Hat, I definitely used. I loved having a hat to snuggle in at night, and hike in just a hat sometimes, because sometimes your head just gets cold. Don't ask me why. Shoes! I found out that after I switched my shoes in Harper's Ferry, my feet got way better. I was super happy with that, and I'm going to put it all to my oboes, which I still have because I can't get rid of them, but they smell, so I'm going to hold them out here. I love my oboes. They were fantastic. I bought them in Harper's Ferry. I would recommend them to anyone. I had Merrell's before, Merrell's, however you want to say it. It was very sad because I love their running shoes. Hiking shoes just didn't do it for me. These got me through from Harper's Ferry to the end, and they're a blessing. So, what else do I have? Oh, my down jacket is hanging up here. It's still good. I washed it with a down soap, and it fluffed right back up. It's still warm, and I'm actually going to wear it this winter. I was really surprised because it smelled awful, but after pre-soaking it and then washing it with the special Revive-X down soap, it turned out fine. So all my clothes that I wore were fine too. I wore the Ex Officio underwear, which I probably would have just rather not worn any underwear at all because I don't know, they didn't actually do anything for me that seemed to have helped or not helped. So, oh, speaking about underwear and areas down there, I used my Diva Cup. Fantastic. I loved having the Diva Cup. It was super easy to use. Just dump it out, put it back in, it's easy. The only hard part, I would say, which is a little difficult, is it's not the most clean environment out there. So it's really hard. You have to like wash your hands and then do it all and then like wash your hands again. So that's the only really tricky part. Just make sure you wash your hands because you don't want to get an infection or anything. But you just dump the cup out, bury it like you would your poo, and it's not a problem at all. It went in and out easy for me. There was only one time where I was hiking. I think it was in the wrong position, and so it kind of hurt up there. But all the other times I used it, it was great hiking. I didn't worry about it falling out. I didn't worry about having any problems. Loved it. So. Oh, back to clothes. I'm sorry. I had a pair of pants, which I carried the whole trail because at certain points I would get cold or if it's not hiking, I just wanted those to throw on. Or mosquitoes. When the mosquitoes are everywhere, you want to be able to throw your pants on real quick so they don't get you. All my other clothing were dry fit, quick dry, anything like that. The active wear, that is really what works best because your clothes get wet, you sweat, you need them to dry out fast. So get those. Don't wear cotton. You don't want to, freeze to death and have hypothermia. So if you guys have any other specific questions, I'm sorry this was a little fast paced. I'm sorry I didn't have more gear to show you guys, but if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments if I can answer anything specifically about the type of gear I used. I was very pleased with pretty much all my stuff, and pretty much all of it lasted the entire trail. You don't have to spend a lot of money on gear. You just have to be selective on the things you do spend money on, which is usually like your tent, your sleeping bags, and your shoes. So you can go get a lot cheaper things, but just make sure you spend the money on the things that are really going to matter. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and thank you for watching. Really appreciate it.